If you're worried about the price of gas for your summer vacation, do what Jim Stobe did and ride freight trains across America. The Stobe Hobo passes through 16 states in a conquest of the American landscape, including such illustrious destinations as...
This is Milwaukee, Seattle, Pocatello, Idaho.
Laboring with perseverance to avoid the law. And numerous life-threatening possibilities.
Psychotic serial murder for dismemberment by a large deer. There are pernicious plans.
Jim Stobe risked having his limbs crushed to smithereens countless times under thunderous train car wheels to bring this production to the public. All you need to do is keep your gaze glued to the big screen with Attack of the Stobe Hobo!
Hello, my name is Jim Stobe. I am here today to tell you about a new method of travel that is becoming more and more popular with today's young and fashionable folk. Let me tell you a little about myself before we get to our main topic. I'm 27 years old, and at my age, I've kind of come to a point where when I travel, I want to travel in style. I want to get there fast, and I want to feel very comfortable. And so therefore, this new method is something I will now showcase to you. As you can see, I have an upscale apartment with a piano and generally chic atmosphere. My apartment has a 60s debonair feel to it. And my ride, well, at the minimum, it's very classic. So here's the situation. It is today, December 20th, 2011, in Seattle, Washington. On the 23rd, I'm required at a social event in Colorado, a gathering of hoi polloi and society types, my family. And so, the question is, how to get from here to there in such a time. I will now go into detail the methods I will use and the routes I will take to arrive on time, or at worst fashionably late, in style, in a good mood, not stressed out from traffic, and having my shoes searched for explosives. For short distances, of course, it makes total sense to travel in this elegant 1989 Jaguar XJ6. Something you might have seen Frank Sinatra in. However, for interstate travel, I am left no choice. The method of travel I plan on using is known as cargo freight train riding. I will now detail the various accoutrements I will be bringing along with me on this trip. A reasonably warm sleeping bag. A crude and yet fashionably colored pack. Just pair with a little green, i.e., and we fit right in. A comfortable one-piece fleece jumpsuit to be worn underneath this one-piece cotton jumpsuit. And while this one-piece cotton jumpsuit does come off as a bit crude and forlorn, might I add that very many famous movie stars and musicians have worn this exact outfit, and a lot of halfway decent to pretty good music videos. A Tommy Hilfiger down vest, both elegant and warm, to be worn both upon arrival at the destination and also to be donned in the case of accostation by the bull. We take off the coveralls, put on the vest, and voila. You look like a totally different dude than somebody called the cops on. I'd like to add that this jumpsuit is but a chrysalis to be removed, revealing a metamorphosized person It's an entirely different outfit on under it. Who knows what could be under there? As I'm sure you may have guessed, not everyone finds this activity quite as elegant and interesting as others. And for those humorless souls, we must adapt enough to have a simple disguise. That's all. A wino who looks like they just climbed out of a trash can metamorphosizes. An entirely new person emerges. That more or less concludes what's going in the pack. But what really makes this trip fabulous and worthy of the Steve Wynn signature, or perhaps Donald Trump's, I would say would be the culinary choices, which will be brought and enjoyed throughout the entirety of the trip. An assortment of fine cheese, snack meats, and crackers, a mid-grade French red wine, a delicious Italian grapefruit soda, a fresh baguette, Milanos, a smashable milk orange, and Galliano. Later this evening, in the darkest hours of the night, I will steal into the Union Pacific Argo train yard and board a train that will proceed south to Portland, where it will change crew and then make an abrupt 90-degree turn along the Columbia River Gorge to Hermiston, where it will then proceed southeast. Like a large steel worm burrowing into the interior of the country, the train will rampage through Boise and then snake its way along the Snake River Plain to Pocatello. At this point, the trip will be about half over. This should take about 30 hours to get to Pocatello. The train will then cross into Wyoming and roughly parallel I-80 for 350 miles to Cheyenne. One more train south will have us safely in Denver, I estimate in the morning of the 23rd. Right on time. I have now given you the basic details of the task I will undertake once darkness has completely covered the landscape on this solstice night in one of America's most glum cities. Until then, I've been invited to have an aperitif and canopies at the local martini bar. 2,100 hours. A decent selection of private rail cars await being hooked together to depart south. The darkness of this yard, there are so many different private coaches to choose from. I like the look of this one. A hiss of brakes can only mean one thing. This vacation is about to start. I have upgraded to a sleeper car to ride in comfort through the night. Look at this. This has got to be nice. Look at the interior of this place. It was a tiny bit chilly last night, so I got in the unmanned pusher engine. A little bit more luxurious style ride. And now it's about time to commence our day of Epicurean adventure. Got everything out. Pop the top on this French wine. Just kind of enjoy a lazy day winding through the Columbia River Gorge. Today's cocktail hour features Galliano served neat. And we can see that when held in the sunlight, this excellent liqueur from Italy is pretty much the exact same. As a dilettante of flavor pairings, I must declare that these camembert and prosciutto mini sandwiches, International Hotel and Tower, are quite correctly a pairing of flavors with this 2009 French Bordeaux. The scenery along the lower Columbia River Gorge is also decent. Certainly looks like an excellent place for a summer home, or maybe a houseboat. Millions of salmon make their way up this river every year on their endless quest to spawn at the mouth, before being caught, smoked, and made into delectable hors d'oeuvres. I continue with another mini sandwich of baguette, camembert, and salchichon. The sun slowly makes its way into the western hills towards early evening. We approach a time of the day commonly known as cocktail hour. The imbibement of this delicious sweet liquid, the flavors of both anise and vanilla, can turn an ordinarily dull experience into a positively luxurious instance. As the sun draws nigh to the horizon, allow me to take this time to briefly summarize what has been undertaken on this entire first full day of travel. So far, I have sat comfortably, stylishly, and not in any way cramped for the first 18 hours of this voyage. I have savored several delectable entrees, from camembert and prosciutto sandwiches on French bread to crackers and a very high-end kind of chorizo sandwich as well. After this, I enjoyed fine French wine and imbibed the poignant, hazy liqueur Galliano. At entirely no point today have I dealt with any plebeian riffraff, such as gas station attendants, airline stewards, and guys requesting you to take your shoes off at the airport. In other words, I've completely avoided the constant dangers of insipidity by adding additional splashes of flavor to every facet of today's voyage. As the winter constellations position themselves squarely overhead, I find myself outside La Grande, Oregon. A little bit behind schedule, but I'd rather travel in comfort than with excess haste. The state penitentiary in Pendleton, Oregon, can look right in the windows at the inmates sitting placidly in their cells. I understand it's almost overfilled these days. A sad sign of our disintegrating society. Yes, what a satisfying sleep in my private coach. Basically a fairly uneventful evening going to Idaho. The most formidable dilemma I'm facing is that, yes, the wine definitely ran out during the night. I don't have another bottle. I guess I'm just stuck with the Galliano. I have to admit these cotton leisure suits are exceptionally comfortable for traveling in over long distances and definitely for sleeping. It's getting a little bit hot back there in the heated cab, so take a little excursion to the exterior of the car for a little more visible scenery. This is Pocatello. There's not enough time to get off. It's kind of a backwards hick kind of town anyway. Admittedly, this does appear a bit frigid going to be on the exterior, but once again, those people just don't know how to pack. Some salami, the remainder of the baguette, and this double Gloucester cheese will make my midday meal. I decided to take refuge again in the heated car as I was being ensorcelled by snow gusts. So now in this more comfortable setting, I will take my lunch. A poignant western sunset over Wyoming. These local rural folk must have difficulty staying warm in their huts outside. What a shame. At Granger Junction, the train has now joined the famous overland route. 300 more miles to Cheyenne. It is not warm outside. However, in my own private cabin, it's very pleasant. The winter constellations will soon position themselves squarely overhead the eastern part of Wyoming. This monstrous mine outside Green River withdraws millions of tons of soda ash every year. This ash is a key component in the vulcanization of rubber, which, as we know, contributes greatly to the manufacture of the tires of Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, and Jaguars. Green River, Wyoming, not much green this time of year. Frigid wasteland outside the exterior of the cab, but in here it's not terribly unpleasant. Rock Springs, Wyoming. The local rowdies generally don't make it too inviting a place for out-of-staters. It's probably the best view of the city you can get. Just blazing right through. Train cruises through Laramie in the darkest hours of the night, festively lit up by the Westerners. The Dyno Nobel explosives plant is the indicator that the trip is about over. About to arrive in Cheyenne, where I have a private chauffeur waiting to pick me up. Train is arriving at the station in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the early morning hours of the 23rd. Pretty much a completely successful trip. I've got a private coach waiting to pick me up. So that is about her trip. Goodbye, my beautiful private coach, and farewell to the train station at Cheyenne, Wyoming. This is Cheyenne. Main fashion here chiefly being Stetsons and Levi's. A little too early to get into this Western wear store, but as you can see, they have some interesting patterns and such down here. The historic depot and plaza. A new image in clothing. That's right. The name of the state on a t-shirt. The festively decorated neo-romantic state capitol. Back in style. As this trip nears its end, to take this time to conclude. I've traveled from Seattle to Cheyenne quickly, comfortably, and with zero inconveniences such as squeegee men, gas station attendants, traffic jams, avalanches. Now it is time for my final ride down to Denver. Soon this trip will be over. Just like to say, I've had a good time showing you guys how this whole thing should be done.
There you go.
I didn't think I was going to get stuck in traffic on I-25 down to Denver, did ya? This is the Keddy Resort, which surprisingly is completely dilapidated and shut down. You can see all these bunkhouses and stuff, as well as the big central dining facility. Our history looks like they've been that way for a while. You can see it's a real value. Oh, I think this has it's got to be 20 years old. All this gourmet stuff for under $10. John here's got to make a quick call. Ooh, that's it. There was 30 in there yesterday. What the F? So we're stopped here in the Klamath Falls, the place where BN track joins Union Pacific. It's always a little stressful because it's a fact. This has got a bull problem. Like an overload of rail police here. So I mean, it's kind of problematic that this is what we got in Klamath Falls to get us to Bend. We're like 40 miles out of town. We're not even close to halfway. The 30 pack was gone a while ago, and I don't know. Things are looking a little more grim. It's starting to get very hot out here. We're kind of in the desert almost. As you can see, there's a lot of scrub, and probably rains here like 2 times every summer, you know. But we've got some water. I don't know what's gonna happen here. But this is what it looks like if you ever wanted to see Bend, because you're probably not ever gonna come here. I mean, you got a couple decent looking rigs here. There's a lot of them. That's nice. But it's just geezers driving these things. They're driving around the block. Where are the drag races? The racing for slips and all that stuff? I don't know. Not here. Something tells me these guys' kids are not going to get an inheritance because of their dad spending so much money on their car. What is that, a GMC truck that gets in here? here's the railroad where the train is going to stop. Really right a ways up here. And then over here, you've got the town graveyard here in Salem, Illinois. So I'd like to point out is this is a very convenient spot to get run over because it's a very short distance. They carry you off the train and into the grave. Probably one of the bigger businesses in town here is funeral homes, being that most of the population is pretty elderly. I mean, looking at this here and this here, there's definitely nobody moving here. And I think a lot of the people leaving, in addition to anybody over the age of 18 who's able to, is also a lot of people leaving horizontally. You can't really tell by looking at it, but this pizza is seriously about the top quality pizza you can get for $2 a slice. Right here at Casey's General Store, which I would say is probably numero uno in the Midwest. General store, gas station kind of place for food. Here's the train. Stobe Jim Kenobi immersed in sweat, trying to get the hell out of this place. I think I'm gonna nap this car here. Are we going? It's barely moving. Look at this thick, incredible jungle of this place. It's really getting old. There is not much going on here besides agriculture, pretty much over the entire state. So a key element of being out here is these cornfields and corn stalks that you're seeing, and this is definitely a way to survive if you run out of food. However, what I'd like to point out is that this variant here, this is not your sweet corn. No, this is for feeding your cows and whatever, sheep and chickens in the feedlot. As you can see, you're really not going to enjoy eating this stuff. But it is out here, I got one kernel there. Perfectly tasty, not going to hurt you, but it's really not very delicious. This is a major looking storm starting to come in here. Not going to run out of food. There's all this corn. Water, well, there's going to be rain, but I'm not really excited about this. I'm not sure what's going on here. I'm a little concerned. It's getting dark. This car can provide some shelter from the rain, but this is so this city, among other things, is notable for Cole Porter, born here, and it's the circus capital of the world, I guess. This is a circus-style architecture going on. Additionally, it's also Jim Stobe stopped here and left. Going on, a lot of overweight and obese people walking around as well. It's a fairly pleasant climate, but I'd say in general there's no reason to move here or come here at all, and I'm only here because the train came. It looks like we're going fast. You're darn right. The train is roaring through another dismal Indiana town. It's the only way you want to see these towns. Blaze it right through. Alright, so it's the darkest hours of the night out here now, and it's kind of the time where you're trying to decide what to do next. The town has been pretty lackluster. There's basically nothing going on here. Darkest hours of the night, September 8th, 2014. Well, everything's looking under control on the way out of Toledo so far. There was a guy shining a spotlight in my direction, kind of, but speed looks good. Should be out of here for good. Out. So it's after Labor Day and things have kind of shut down here, but water temperature is still pretty pleasant. Going on, folks? Stobe the Hobo here in Dilworth, Minnesota on September 21st. First day of fall. And for today's episode, this week's episode, we're going to be featuring the Highline from Fargo, Dilworth area to Whitefish, Montana. More than I thought, but these soy plants at least have nice ripe beans in them, which is a good food source, being that I'm kind of low on grub. As you can see, this is a lot of grain, or soybeans or corn that you can put on this train right here, out here in the North Dakota countryside. Later in the day, and the train is still just very far distant from anything resembling civilization out here. I think the next stop should be Minot, and I'm not sure how close it is. Obviously there's no way to tell from any of this scenery. We're still in soybean country, just rows after rows after rows. What's going on? Stobe the Hobo. Fast forward a few hours. Out here on the, basically the edge of town, Minot, and I'm kind of frustrated. I've been basically walked all the way out here from down by the train tracks looking for any place that sells beer, and there's nothing because it's Sunday or some crap. I mean, why do you think I got off the train? To just come see another, town with a bunch of roughnecks driving huge Dodge Ram trucks around. So I guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow. It's a major gig against this place. You'd think this rough Dakotas wouldn't, have an issue with me buying a beer at 10:30 on a Sunday. I'm kind of flipping out because I don't really have the money to go to a bar. Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed I don't have the money to go to a bar. I've only got $40 in cash to get back to Montana. So I'm thinking it's just going to be dry night back at the campsite by the train tracks. So this is Glasgow or Glasgow or however you say it. And, if you don't have the budget to go to Glasgow, Scotland, I guess you could come out here because it's not quite as far and it's definitely a lot less exciting. There's like nothing going on here. I'm kind of wondering why I got off. I did manage to find some beer. There's like a major mosquito infestation going on right now, even in September. I mean, if you look, all these bastards. I've got about 200 bites on my legs from these things over the last couple days. So it's a pleasant little town. It's too hot in the summer. It's way too cold in the winter, but you've got to ask yourself, what is going on when this setting, you're getting swarmed with mosquitoes? Look at my leg. Look at all of them. Go to hell! It's just not worth it, folks. I don't know what's going on, but I cannot recommend getting off the train here. Swarmed. Absolutely mother-frickin' swarmed with bugs is what's going on. Additionally, pretty much, what's the point of the town? I don't know. You got this grain elevator. You got this bar. I'd love to show you some more about Glasgow, but, save the time. Go to Glasgow, Scotland. It might actually be exciting. And you won't get incinerated with mosquitoes, hopefully. Out. Oh, thank goodness. Please, God, stop at the depot. I don't care what this train is. I've got to get out of here. It's about 10 p.m., maybe 9 actually. I should probably duck so he doesn't see me. It's infested with mosquitoes. I gotta get out of here. Why is this train not slowing down? No! Well, I was hoping to do a little bit more in Glasgow. A little like Scottish theme, how the middle of the Badlands of Montana has somehow got a Scottish name. But the mosquitoes are so out of control. For some reason, it's just time to get out of here. It's 10 p.m. on September 23rd. I'm heading west. Darkest hours of the night. Stobe, Jim Kenobi, out! This is on board Burlington Northern Santa Fe freight train heading west out of Forsyth, Montana. It turned out to be a rad trip, but it hasn't always been like this. Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Hey, my name is Jim of Magnolia Home Improvement. I'm just stopping in. I noticed you've got older siding on your house, and we're doing a promotion on siding right now. It's 40% off, and it can save you up to 20% off your energy bill. I'm wondering if you'd like to maybe find out a little more.
No, I'm not really interested. I'm not working now, and that's why I'm still at home. So, yeah, I wish I could, but that'd be nice because this is getting older. But yeah, I just don't have the money now.
All right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Denver, Colorado. What used to be a historic western town is now an overcrowded yuppie metropolis. And it was time to be gone for as long as possible in summer 2008. At age 23, there's a lot of things other people might be doing during this summer. But these do not interest me in the slightest. Alright, so it's June 24th here in Lakewood, Colorado. My job sucks. So I've got to go to a family gathering in Chicago in a few days, and then after that I'm going to take as long as possible to get back to Denver via freight trains. Before we go any further, I might as well discuss the chief reason why everyone I asked chickened out on going on this trip with me. Railroads have employed their own police for many decades. And for many decades, hobos have worked diligently to escape their detection. Railroad yard bulls are genuine state police and complete a variety of tasks, including investigation of grade crossing crashes and trespasser abatement. And it goes without saying that if they catch you on a freight car, they probably won't be happy. If accosted by the yard bull, there's a wide range of possible consequences a hobo can expect. From a simple warning to a trespass citation to several weeks in jail. Some people can definitely expect harsher treatment than others, such as bearded, grimy men with multiple felony warrants. Generally, yard bulls are only found in the larger rail yards in bigger cities, such as this 36th Street yard in Denver. As for the rest of us, if accosted by the bull on a freight car, it's best to remain respectful and cooperative. Act like a loser, and you'll end up in his cruiser. But if you play his game, he might only just make you get off the train. There are other vehicles in yards besides the bull. Many people cannot arrest you, such as this ATV checking brakes. One good way to beat the bull is to simply wait outside the yard in a place where trains go very slow and get on there.
I'd also like to briefly discuss the issue of hitchhiking, as it is the main other alternative to freight trains as far as free transportation in the United States. There was a guy in the 50s from the East Coast of French-Canadian background. One of his goals, in fact, was to come to Denver. All he had to do was magically stick out his thumb in a place like this, and a ride would instantly appear. However, in this day and age, you can wait an hour, or 3, or maybe not even get picked up with today's paranoid television-watching motorists. Would you rather wait here with a camp chair and a cold beer, or stand all day here and maybe go deaf from the noise? Alright, long story short, I got into Cumberland in the darkest hours of the night. So that's somewhere in Maryland. And hopefully there will be trains leaving here going further northeast. I think they go to Philadelphia. So from there to New York, it shouldn't be too tough. As it turns out, the Cumberland area is very historic. Among other things, this is the head of the Potomac River. So I'd be very leery about drinking the water out of the Potomac River here. We've all seen the effect it has had on the losers further downstream. Yeah, it goes to Washington, D.C., you know, that makes sense now. So, I've seen enough of this. I got a long way to go. I'm gonna head over to the train yard back, see if something shows up. Alright, long story short, a lot happened since the last clip. Just when it seemed like the train was going in the right direction, it made a U-turn into Thugville. And there's barbed wire fence on both sides, so it was tough to climb out over that. And so now, here in the Capitol, and yes, this is it. This is the home of the jackass in chief, right here. So I might as well have just come down here and seen it. And so maybe he's in there right now. Well, actually, me in front of the place. We'll talk more about this later when there's not dudes with assault weapons within earshot. A little bit to the east of the White House, we have another excellent tourist attraction right here. A couple of many sleeping beauties right the hell here on 1400 New York. 1,000 feet or so from the home of the jackass in chief. There was an age in this country before the time of losers, charlatans, and cretins, when they still made memorials. Alright, it's time to get out of the DC area. Alright, so obviously not getting a train out of here. I'm gonna get the $20 China bus, you know. I mean, unlike Greyhound, this one is actually a decent deal and it's not all crack dealers on it. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. This is not that great of an area, this Capitol. I've already been here too long. So, alright, well, it's New York. Throughout my times on freight trains, pretty much unanimous opinion has been to hate on guys with camp chairs. But I'd say right at this second it's worth carrying. I hate to have to do this. I was not going to deal with the New Jersey toilet area yards. So just to get out of the main area, I'm going to have to do this, which is a cop-out, I know. Regardless, I mean, basically, I don't have the time to deal with the yards getting out of here, and I'm not interested in it. And it is a cop-out to take Scam Track for me. But You know, there was no other way to get to this buffalo. We've got another engagement before the real trip starts, other than doing this, so I apologize for that, for making this part of the trip boring. The plan was now to go to Buffalo for several days and stay with a family friend. Afterwards, proceeding through Canada and Canadian Pacific. So I went across the border to find out a little info on freight trains in the area. The situation on the other side of the border looks pretty low-key. Not sure exactly what's going on. These trains seem to be doing some switching or something, so I'm prepared to depart. Got everything you need, food and cartridges of cold beer. Alright, still sticking around here. One dude mentioned that there are trains, some of the trains coming through here go to Detroit, so there's been some with auto racks, and I have avoided those, so I'm still hunkered down under this bridge, and will be so for the foreseeable future. Except for one small issue involving a police cruiser. That's it. Alright. I have been told to leave the country. Some snitch saw me under that bridge. So I'm pissed off, obviously. But, you know, I don't need this. This isn't why I'm doing this. I think I'm going to go to the Buffalo CSX yard. I don't know what else to do. You know, I don't want to go bad enough to do this. So I will talk to you soon. So basically I have to walk from Canada to the CSX yard, which appears to be a considerable distance. Just what the doctor ordered. Union Pacific engines. Right? Yes. On the front of a CSX train. That means it's going to Chicago. Which means that I am getting the hell on this and kissing this craft goodbye. Forget Canada. It would have been nice, but it ain't happening. Pulling out the Buffalo yard. Much better. It is nice to be back in the United States. There are many times on trips such as this when one finds themselves asking what the hell is going on. This train seemed to be making great time, but as you can see now, my cut of cars has been severed from the main train, and apparently it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's always a bummer to have to switch from this nice spacious boxcar. Definitely a lot of the other rides are not nearly as nice. Fortunately, it's the darkest hours of the night, so no one will see me hike across cuts of cars with my large pack. Finally, the doctor stepped in and ordered this stack train out of Willard. It's been here about 7 hours. About time to get lost. Notice the time of day it is, and then recall the time that it looked like when I left the other yard area. Yeah, it's been about 8 hours of solid hiking towards the Canadian Pacific yard, and I'm still not there. Why not take a bus? Well, the crooks at CTA don't do transfers, so you got to pay $2 per ride. This would have been like 4 transfers at least from that area. I wasn't going to pay $10. So maybe that's something Obama can fix. What a convenient location for a police station. A slow departure out of the yard, it makes for an easy nab in the darkest hours of the night. Arrival in downtown Milwaukee. Alright, this is Milwaukee, which is best known for a couple mediocre pro sports teams and many breweries. So I'm gonna try to go hunt some of those down and see what the deal is.
And then Pabst, I think, was a little farther up, but they haven't made beer there in years either.
Where do they make it now then?
Just Miller.
Where do they make Pabst and Schlitz now? Somewhere else?
Out east someplace. Not around here.
Alright, thanks. Apparently the jackasses at all these... I don't even know what to think. I thought there was still beer here. And not Miller. That's not what I'm talking about. As far as I can tell, this is the only independent brewery remaining. Apparently these losers are not even interested in free publicity. So I don't know what to say, you know. They used to make beer around here, now it's a bunch of jackasses. And so apparently all the beer is made at Miller now. PBR, Schlitz, all that stuff. The old Schlitz building, now converted to some other kind of deal. These gorgeous old buildings have now been converted to assorted schlock, such as this insurance agency here. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I wanted to show some brewery stuff. It's all been absorbed by Miller, and I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going over there. I'm not giving them publicity for this. So basically, Miller is the only game in town except for a few crappy microbreweries. Right now, you may be wondering exactly what kind of people can be encountered during this illicit activity. So I will now go into detail the main categories of unscrupulous folk were encountered during hobo trips. Because rail yards are located in the more rundown districts of town, it's more likely to encounter certain groups of people there than you might otherwise. The first category is the psychotic serial murderer, who is known for throwing his victims off moving trains and pushing them underneath the wheels, as well as employing a variety of tools, such as railroad spikes to inflict grievous wounds. Because these murderers are not easily distinguishable from any other person you might encounter, generally it's best to just be safe and not get on any train car with someone you suspect being a psychotic killer, as well as not standing close to the track with a train going past with a sinister guy right behind you. The large remainder of more docile types encountered chiefly consist of homeless men. When it comes to transients, all of them share some characteristics, such as extreme alcoholism. But there are also some key distinctions I would like to now make. The first category of homeless person is characterized by its lengthy or permanent residence in one city, when 3 square meals a day are easily found, and there's ample suckers for panhandling. Many transients find the situation comfortable enough to remain in the same city permanently. If not at the mission, they can be found permanently monitoring the same corner day after day. These fetid freeloaders are known as homebucks or home guards. The other variant of homeless man is more mobile and often never stays in one area for more than a week. These men are just as likely to fly a sign in whatever city they're in, but you won't see them there long, because soon they'll be off to the next place. These paunchy pilot fish are known as hobos or tramps, although these terms obviously have become more widely used to apply to all homeless men recently. To sum it up, home guards push a shopping cart and lie around all day. Hobos carry a heavy pack and ride from place to place. Despite the multitude of standard mall schlock, as well as unique specialty stores, the elusive merchant selling tall cans and 40 ounces remains elusive. I have been accosted for having a camera by what's happening. What? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Now, if you guys, I'm ready to just leave, but I can get this.
What are you filming for? I'm Officer John from Security.
If you show me the exit, I'll show you myself buying a ticket to the light rail out of here. I'm trying to get out of here. I promise. I have not drank anything. I've done nothing illegal.
I gotta get out of this place.
It was time to leave before I even got here. I apologize for not having more of that earlier incident. When the cops show up, I turn the camera off. I mean, I don't mess with the cops. Mall security, no problemo, but when the cops show up, I mean, I'm cool. They'll let me go immediately because they're not jackasses. So, it is time to get the whatever out of here. So, out. In the gloomy, dark shadows of St. Paul, I make my campsite. A glum day in Minneapolis. Intermittent rain the whole time has sequestered me in this boxcar. I've been, I don't even know where the track is. It's raining. Long story short, I do not know where the track to get out of here is. Everything here is not going anywhere. And it's raining like crazy. The cars begin to move. I haven't a clue which direction I am now going. The cars that began to creep forward. I just decided any place but here. But then they just back right up. What the hell? And then comes back to a stop, pretty much right where we left from. This BN has just pulled in. Pretty spacious. Pulls into a large yard and comes to a stop. Rail yards can be unnerving places in the dark. Between these sinister corridors of cars. Still stuck here in Minneapolis. I'm just trying to figure where the hell we can get out. The entire thing is fenced off. There's dudes driving around. So, I'm going to have to just climb over a bunch and find a fence. A hole in the fence or something. I've got to get out of here. Many folk who prefer to travel by means other than personal automobile often resort to desperate measures. Thugs, pimps, and cretins, all of these are readily found aboard these buses. The conditions are cramped, and the bus must stop every hour or so to disgorge half the occupants for a smoke break. It is for these reasons that I have never been, and am not, ever even remotely tempted to take the dog anywhere. It seemed like my spot was low-key, and then this worker comes up, snitches on me. There are two cops in the, right up there. I mean, I'm off the property. I wasn't even on the property. So, just shut your mouth, Jim. Like I'm gonna get on a coal train. If you notice through those trees, those two vehicles watching the train leave, yeah, I'm gonna get in the coal, right? So they're just like the mall security losers, these bulls. As soon as this train pulls out, they'll leave. I mean, how retarded do you think I am? They don't even have a bull. I just saw the markings. It's sheriff, so that's a good sign at least. But be careful of snitches. Allow me to take this time to explain the deal with police. An area can be generally very friendly, lots of nice folk, such as Dilworth. However, the cops will still always show up if they are called. And it is their legal liability to investigate thoroughly situations such as this. So what we had here, a jackass worker called in because it was suspicious that I was sitting next to the tracks. The cops might not even care, but they are bound by law to show up. I just have to say it is about the hell time to get out of the congestion and into the American West. It is only about a 3/4 mile walk from the train yard and downtown area of Forsyth, Montana. The Rosebud County Courthouse was built in 1919 and is on the National Register of Historic Places for exquisite architecture. So if you get pulled off in Forsyth, at least you'll see the judge in a very picturesque setting. One of the real capers going on freight train adventures. Even more so than staying out of sight and staying unaccosted. It's finding the cheapest prices on beer. These prices basically on tall cans across the board are a rip-off. But fortunately this store is not the only game in town. However, their prices on mini bites are exceptional. This swimming beach on the Yellowstone with water about 50 degrees. One of the common questions I often entertain when discussing the lifestyle of traveling cheaply is, what do you do about food, Jim? I am so pleased to introduce to you my greatest benefactor on the long, frugal road. For in his magnanimity, the Colonel has allowed the discarding of copious spoils that by fate have escaped the maw of the corpulent host. Alright, so basically KFC pre-makes all their chicken and there is a fair amount just sitting there at the end of the night. It gets tossed, you come back after they're closed and get fed. But now is not the time for such an operation. Only a knave would approach such a mission in these hours of light. No, one must act as the gargoyle on this mission and return only when the area has reached the point of maximum lifelessness. With steadfastness, I resolve only to return when the summer constellations are directly overhead. In the darkest hours of the night, in the gloom of West Great Falls, a shadowy figure approaches in hopes of finding the Colonel's latest recipe. The shadowy figure seeks the tender pieces of chicken made in the Colonel's kitchen, such as this 4-piece bucket. The darkness that cloaks the receptacle area is absolute, but when the intruder emerges, his spoils are clear. A 10-piece leg and thigh bucket. Let's just see what we've got. That is what the doctor ordered. Oh, what? Look, I mean, I just wanted to say before you get too offended and condescending about someone just eating a little secondhand food, I'd like to just point out that you're the one with the kid in rehab, you know, not me. You're the one is going to have to get liposuction, not me. You're the one, you know, with the social disease, not me. So back off. So I've been in Great Falls the last 2 days. Here's my campsite right on this beach on the Missouri. Right up there across the river is the main drag. There's a KFC right behind those trees. As idyllic a situation as it appears, it's time to leave before things get too stale. I've enjoyed swimming in that river and all this stuff, but you know, you gotta get out before you get totally bored of a place, so I'm gonna head up to the train yard right now, July 25th. For those who are still dying to see the Montana landscape from the comfort of a train, one available option is the handful of foo-foo tourist trains that come through here in the summer. This Grand Deluxe Special has just pulled into the Helena Yard for a quick stop to disgorge East Coast pink-handed flatlanders for a quick tourist sightseeing mission of Montana's capital city. For a week-long excursion, one can expect to pay upwards of $5,000 per person. The included amenities are a spacious stateroom and a sleeping car, 3 square lavish meals a day, and round-the-clock chaperoning. This septic truck has just pulled up to remove excrement of pate, quiche, and lobster. These Grand Deluxe trains offer the finest accommodations, world-class service, and entirely prohibit any glimpse inside the cars by passerbys with fishing hats and cameras. After arriving in Missoula, definitely decided it's just kickback time. As the train comes to a halt, somewhere in the far north Idaho panhandle, allow me to take this time to discuss one of the chief dangers for hobos in this area, the wildlife. As one peers in to the darkness, obscured by this numerous foliage, you must be prepared for the inevitable bear attack. The grizzly bears in this area are entirely bloodthirsty and will have no moral qualms about chomping your body in half, which they can easily pick up in their large frying pan-sized paws. Therefore, I advise staying very close to the train when it parks in a remote area. Although bears have been known to attack unwary travelers right on the train, so I'd even maybe keep some bear spray or something. Supplementally, another fearsome threat in the area comes from the sky in the form of attacks by ravenous birds. These birds are mostly raptors, although there are several large genus of crow. There have been numerous confirmed reports of large flocks of crows nibbling away the remains of unfortunate folk on these train cars just like these. These folk, despite their bravery for riding the iron horse, failed to check the sky for this ominous threat. When one peers into the underbrush, it may be difficult to discern, but it is a fact that this brush contains the presence of numerous fatal insects. The infections caused by some of the genus of ants in this area almost always require amputation, whatever limb has been bit. This is just a fraction of the ailments one can receive from the wildlife in the Idaho Panhandle area. So if you're not entirely prepared for a dismemberment by a large bear, pecking to death by ravenous crows and raptors, and extreme unpleasant infections caused by insects, do not even consider coming through the Idaho Panhandle on a freight train. As this trip continues, I'll go more into detail about wildlife dangers in other areas. I mean, they're really too numerous to even listen. deaths going through this tunnel. So we're all writing out last testaments as we approach the entrance. And coming to a stop. Whitefish, Montana. Completely successful trip. First sample at the Great Northern Brewery is free. One per person per day. It's the 3rd Street Market in Whitefish that we've settled on.
You have to actually look.
Breakfast is served every day here.
Buffalo Cafe.
Colonel's freight crew finally gets to hook up at the hell in that Colonel. Been striking out up until now. That is like a 20-piece bucket. No, my name is John Stone.
Your last name Stone?
Stone is the last
name. Telling me
name.
the truth?
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't got no way to prove it.
You know, we're getting ready to leave here. I don't know. I mean, I can go. I don't know what to do here. That's my last name. Because at this time, I would like to fill in the audience to exactly what's going on, as it may have appeared murky until this point. The Colonel's freight crew is once again temporarily disbanded. Snake and Sydney went to Laurel. They're going to the East Coast. I was already there. We split up yesterday. It's August 17th, 2008. Basically, there's about a week left of vacation. From here, it's a 60-mile hitchhike to Butte. Then there's one train a day to Pocatello, Idaho from there. Many trains from Pocatello to Cheyenne, Wyoming. And from there, BNSF goes straight south to Denver. The Stobe attack has devastated from Chicago to New York, ransacked the East Coast, and then blitzkrieged across the country to the West Coast. And at this point has then backtracked to Helena, Montana. The city of Butte in southwestern Montana during the early 1900s was one of the most important mining cities in the entire United States. However, it is clear that in 2008, whatever vitality this city may have had is 100% gone. Right now, on this August Sunday night, it'd be hard to find a more dismal scene than downtown Butte. There's entirely no shortage of white trash, thug, and gangsta types walking through the streets, and very few respectable looking folk. The closing of the main mining operation in the 80s has left many buildings boarded up. The biggest tourist attraction is this monster open pit copper mine closed in 1982. There's supposed to be a toxic lake at the bottom, but the only way to see it is to pay an admission fee. Nowadays, the most prolific mining is for the mother lode of societal flotsam and jetsam that currently inhabits the area. Supplementally, this is also the home of Evel Knievel, and they'll never let you forget it. The old architecture is definitely very gorgeous. There's all the old theaters and music halls and that stuff. Obviously, this was a cultured area at one point, but those life-affirming forces obviously perished in the city of Butte well before the end of the last century. Unbelievable! Look at all this stuff. Unreal! Just when you thought this was just gross stuff, I do not know if I can drink all this stuff. Look at all this. Everything's in here. Alright, 2 days later, still here in Butte, Montana. for several key reasons. First of all, it's a 4-mile walk from Butte to the Union Pacific train yard where the daily train leaves from. The yard is a lot further out of town than where I'm staying now, and the train leaves at 8 in the morning, so that obviously makes things a little inconvenient. Finally, I'm just not in that big a hurry to get back to Denver for the Democrat convention, which is starting next week. Alright, they're putting the train together right down in the yard. I have to just point out there is a lot of potential for making some kind of a residence under this bridge. I mean, you take 2x4s, stretch them across here, make a nice bunk bed, you got a good roof, very cozy in here. If I was going to home bum it, this is probably where I'd go. Right here in the Silver Bow overpass over the train yard. There have been numerous reports I have heard recently of a pernicious bull in Pocatello who does search for riders in the area. The last two I heard got 5 and 7 day jail sentences respectively. I'm not interested in that, so it's going to take some commando style efforts to avoid accostation. The Stobe Hobo is currently on a 1.5 month streak of police-free train riding. It is not going to be a stay in the pokey that's going to break it. Hopefully. Like a patient jungle cat stalking a giant worm, I await, looking for any signs of movement from the steel beast. It is at this time I would like to discuss the Pocatello yard and its bull. Much of the perimeter is fenced off, making me wish the folks from Art on the Farm might have come in. Admittedly, security has been light for the bulk of this voyage, but it is a confirmed fact that in the Pocatello yard exists a hardcore vigilante bull. It is confirmed that trains are searched for riders in this yard, and that you can be arrested just for being on the property if you have a pack on. Eastbound trains pull in very slowly and stop on the main lines, just here a little bit west of the depot. And I admit they resemble low-hanging fruit. But I am going to take every precaution to ensure that I am not ensnared and given a very hokey turn in the pokey. Oftentimes there's checkpoints on several overpasses where someone's stationed above to look down for riders, and then the bull is down there ready to arrest them. A formidable threat from the sky. That worker vehicle down there looks like he's up to no good. I'm not positive what his intentions are. At the Pocatello yard office, there's many vehicles parked out front. It's definitely elusive to me which vehicle the bull drives, because I've seen men coming and going in these vehicles. I haven't seen anyone, A, in a police uniform, or B, in plain clothes, but still with a gun. I wouldn't really mind just waiting around for a while, just waiting for him to show up. Except, it's now Friday at about 4 p.m. And if my guess is correct, this bull, like many others, keeps a schedule of 9 to 5 Mondays through Friday. For this reason, I'm going to have to step up the efforts to locate this guy before his shift ends for the week. Just to be safe, I have donned this yellow bike shirt and lost the telltale fishing hat, so I cannot be confused with any train rider in case the bull spots me and wants to ask any questions. Therefore, I'm going to resort to a little technique known as flushing or baiting the bull. Basically, the Union Pacific Company encourages snitching from the citizenry. I saw a couple trespasser-looking guys in the area. I wasn't sure. They might have been like going to get on a train. And you know, someone said I should call up because, you know, this is in Pocatello, Idaho. Nothing happened. I didn't see anybody come out of that office, so I don't know what the deal is. I've heard about him. I don't know where he is, so I'm disappointed. I wanted to see him later. Alright, day 2, Pocatello. Camped out about a mile to the east of the depot in hopes that the next eastbound the Green River is going to pull out slow enough to get on. Even though I've not seen any evidence of them searching the trains, I don't want to chance it, you know what I mean? A much safer place has turned out to be the very east edge of the yard, where Pocatello trains are built to destinations to the south and the east. Out of this yard, trains go either to Green River, where I'm headed, or Ogden, Utah. I'm going to chance this. Hopefully it'll go to Green River. Upon reaching Green River, Wyoming, which is but 400 miles from Denver, many folk might conclude that it is now safe to let their guard down a bit and relax for the remaining home stretch of the trip. Sadly, this is not the case. The long journey across Wyoming contains several indefatigable threats which must not be scoffed at. The greatest of these threats is the heat. As one gazes across this vast landscape, they cannot help but observe that it closely resembles the surface of the planet Mercury. Daytime temperatures between here and Cheyenne routinely reach upwards of 130 degrees. And therefore, one is taking their life in their hands by riding across this area. There are documented instances of bodies pulled off trains that have been desiccated to dry husks. These hobos are usually found with a distraught look on their face and their hands in a death grip around an empty box wine bag in a futile attempt to squeeze out more life-giving moisture. Many hobos have taken a dip in the Green River right under this railroad overpass and emerged missing a finger or toe. There are pernicious clams that inhabit these rivers that possess beaks of extraordinary sharpness and power. In the darkest hours of the night, train blazes through my old college town. Then right through my old alma mater. It's easy to see how I got started with this hobby going on. A long night trip down into Denver. Well, that's the whole trip. Definitely a good way to spend 2 months out of the summer. You know, didn't get caught by the bull one time. Didn't deal with any psychotic serial murderers. So, pretty much a total success. Kind of wistful thinking about it. You know, lots of fun. The problem is, I didn't really think ahead, as in what to do after the trip, because I mean, I'm back here. I don't have a job. Still living in my dad's basement in Lakewood, Colorado. Now that I think of it, it's going to be pretty nice weather, actually, for at least another month and a half or so.